What is good? Thank you for tuning in for the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Joining me today is Dr. Jesse Reich, who is also known as Aggroed Lighthacker. He is the founder of Splinterlands. This particular interview is going to be done in two parts. The first part, as you see right here, is on my YouTube channel, and it's all about Splinterlands. The second part is going to be a free video on my Patreon channel, and that is the discussion about all things related to freedom. Now, again, it is a free video, but I would encourage people to join my Patreon channel. It's a way to support what I do directly. I post up exclusive content. I've also started doing monthly giveaways starting this month, and by you become a patron, you would automatically be entered to win those monthly giveaways. But before we get into it, if this just happens to be your first time ever watching any of my videos, I do encourage you to explore my channel. Make sure you're subscribed, smash that like button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my videos as they come out. Be sure to follow me on Library where I post up extra videos. Check out my audio podcast, Rice Radio, that is hosted on anchor.fm. It's available on all major podcasting platforms at Rice Radio. I've also recently partnered up with Money Metals Exchange. You can get a free half ounce of silver if you're a first-time buyer. You go to moneymetals.com, you purchase $100 or more, and you use the promo code RICE, R-I-C-E. You'll get a free half ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel as well. I'm going to have links down below for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything we talk about on today's show. Be sure to check out part 2. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on today's show is Dr. Jesse Reich, who is also known as Aggroed Lighthacker. He is the founder of Splinterlands. Jesse, Aggie, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. This has been a long time in the making. Glad to be here finally and get a chance to talk to you and your viewers. It's great.
I greatly appreciate your time, and I appreciate you rescheduling with me as well. Obviously, schedules get crazy, but yeah, we're here, and I appreciate you hooking me up with the Splinterland cards so I could get with Bosak and kind of learn how to play and do some giveaways. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, we have a great community. I mean, more than anything else, I just love the guys and just the crew that's there. They're kind. I invited some people into the Discord this morning, discord.splinterlands.com, and there was just like a string of people that were pinging the new users being like, welcome, glad to have you here. It's good to see new faces, and just I'm just very happy with how welcoming and kind the culture is there.
I would definitely agree with you, because when I did that video, I got so much love from the Splinterlands community just for the appreciation of trying to do like a how-to and watch me learn as I go, so you can learn how to play as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and the game is really cool. I used to play like Magic the Gathering way back in the day. And even a little bit prior to that, back like in the early 90s, I was playing AD&D.
Yeah.
And your name kind of reminds me of like a D&D character. Were you did you play like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that?
I've always loved making dungeons and figuring out prize pools and all that. I was doing that at the age of 8. So not only that, but then also, I did the Magic bit when I was a kid, and then video games all throughout. Played Hearthstone quite a bit for a while, and Matt, my partner Matt, and I are just gamers. We just love these kind of games, and we really just wanted to open up. Like back in the day, you held those physical cards, and there was something pretty awesome about the ownership. And so we wanted to really open up that ownership while also still having the convenience of going digital.
Right.
So those physical games are great, but the school has to be open, or the store, or your brother has to be awake, right? Like there's something convenient about going online with this stuff. So having them all be NFTs and, building a game on a blockchain just makes it different. You still get the ownership, you still get the play, and you can earn now too, which is pretty different. I don't remember earning cards, and I don't remember ever being able to mint anything when I was playing Magic as a kid. But now there's all kinds of stuff that we can do with the blockchain that just wasn't available with, you know, physically printed cards from one centralized company.
That's cool, man. And I definitely want to talk about Splinterlands here in a moment. And I want to remind people, as I said in the intro of the video, this is going to be a two-part video. The first part is going to be pretty much mainly me getting to know Aggy and talking about Splinterlands. And then the second part is going to be us talking about some freedom-related topics. I found out that Aggies follows some of the people I've been recently interviewing, people like Russell J. Gould, and the quantum grammar. So we'll get into that in the second part of this conversation. But before we really get into Splinterlands, I'd like to get a little background on you, Mr. Dr. Aggy, and how you like, who are you and how did you ultimately get involved in crypto?
So I started just in a very weird route. I'm a chemist by training. So I went to college for chemistry. I went to grad school for chemistry. And then I worked in industry for a couple of years and I didn't like it, switched into professing. And while acting as a professor, I used a software in my course that helped my students learn chemistry better. And I told the publishing company about it and they said, well, why don't we pay you to talk to other professors? And it launched a 10-year publishing career for me. And where I left teaching entirely and worked for a pretty big publishing company all up and down the East Coast, traveling all the universities. There's a Johnny Cash song that's called I'm an Everywhere Man, and I've been to all those places and more. So I traveled a ton. There was a year that I took 120 flights in the same year. Just a lot of travel and a lot of going around the country and visiting all these schools and college campuses. But that, you know, things like that don't always last forever. And I kind of have a weird relationship with college in that I don't always think that it's a really good fit for people. And I think that it can kind of, it's billed as this way to avoid financial slavery, but I often feel like it kind of digs you in it deeper and deeper. So I had some qualms about it. Going back to being a gamer forever, I made a game back in 2014. It was a little bit sassy, but it was a Kickstarter game. And I liked the process. It was a physical thing. It sold 21 grand. Nothing to write home about, but we printed it, we shipped it, and I knew that I liked that whole experience except for the physically printing stuff. So I had made a second game, and it was just sitting on my shelf. And I met my partner, Matt, and he comes with like a 20, 30-year developer background. And we were working on kind of a marketing thing in crypto. The first crypto project that I got introduced to was Steemit. So I've been in the freedom movement since like 2012, and I was posting on Facebook, and Facebook kept kicking me off no less than 5 times. I think it's either 6 or 7. And it was before like people were really regularly reporting that. Now it's just like old hat. But back in 2012, and I was like, I think they're kicking me off because of my political views. Like I would tell people and they'd just be like, no, man, you're stupid. It's because of X, Y, or Z. But I feel pretty vindicated after watching like every single voice that I might listen to get booted off that platform.
It's crazy.
So we made this game, and the reason I got into crypto is because of this project called Steemit. Steemit was a blogging platform built on the Steem blockchain, and it still exists, but the whole thing's been pretty well corrupted. But I liked it because at the time, they were really good about making sure that your voice was immutable, meaning that with a blockchain, you have hundreds of servers all around the world. When you post your content, it's on hundreds of servers. And so there's not like one entity that's deciding whether or not you are going to be seen or heard. So all these guys getting deplatformed, well, that's what you get with a centralized service. If the centralized service doesn't like you, you're gone. Right. But with these kind of blockchain tools, the front ends might silence you, but the back ends do not, meaning that all the data on that database, it's on hundreds of computers. Try getting rid of that. It's quite hard.
Exactly.
So I really believe in that. So I was working on that project, and the game actually started on Steem, and then we moved to a fork of Steem called Hive. And I met my partner, Matt, kind of just one day working on a marketing project for the Steem blockchain. And he said to me, what I really want to do is build a game. And I smiled and I said, it's funny you should mention that. I happen to have one sitting on the shelf. So my first one was a little saucy and a little racy, and just it was a bit more adult themed. So this one I really made a promise to myself to make it more like family friendly.
Okay.
So that's the origin of Splinterlands, where I had a game sitting on the shelf and finally met a really talented developer, and we have been great friends and business partners and launched this project. That was we spoke about it in April of 2018 and we launched it in May. So a very fast turnaround, which in part talks to the utility of the blockchain that we're on and kind of how we can develop there and how it's gone.
Yeah, because when I first met you, I want to say, like when we first spoke, it was the end of April at the virtual blockchain conference, and at that time, I think you guys were still on Steam, and you were just making the decision to possibly move over to Hive, which you obviously have done. Before we talk about Splinterlands and get into it a little bit more, I didn't know that you were involved in the freedom movement before that. I know like where you're located. So Ron Paul seems to be a very popular person in that area, and the whole In the Fed and Occupy Wall Street movement. Were you a part of those scenes?
Yeah, I found out, or I figured out fairly quickly that the two things were related, right? Like the Occupy movement, even if it had been started, there's a bunch of rumors that it was started by, basically the bad guys as kind of like a COINTEL project of controlled opposition.
Right.
Whether that's true or not, it spread pretty far and wide. And the idea was, hey, all these big businesses seem to be controlling our lives. And that Ron Paul Liberty movement seemed to be, wow, this giant government entity really seems to be controlling our lives. And it didn't take me all that long to figure out, hey, I think these two groups are actually really well intertwined. And a lot of that came out. There was like a Swiss paper that showed that, man, it's been a while since I read this thing, but it's something like 80% of the world's revenue was being funneled between 1,500 companies. And there was a web-like structure that really broke that down into like 22 megabanks that were owners of all of these different projects. And so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that, like, hey, this group that can print money at whim can go feed this corporate enterprise that can go purchase everything because they can print the money however and whenever they want. There's no centralized control over that. And so now all these businesses that, people bought, or they started and then they sold and they went on a stock market and they got bought up and moved on. Like, it's kind of behind the shadows, but all these big businesses and projects have been bought by this very web-like, spidery octopus, central company. And even those 22, some of those 22 big banking organizations are still private, like a Fidelity, but some of them are actually public. And so you can go look and start tracking down owners. And what's crazy is that, you go look at the owners of BlackRock, or you go look at the owners of JP Morgan, and it's, BlackRock and JP Morgan, they all kind of own each other. And so it really is like it's like franchises. You have franchises of the banks that are all owned by each other that own all the commerce on this planet. And so I figured this stuff out, I wasn't like way early in this, but about 2012 is when I started being like, hey, I think some of this stuff is broken, and it almost seems like it's intentionally broken. So I've been in the space since 2012, and to me, I could try to like red pill people all day long, and I'm not sure that really helps or does anything. People come to this and they come to this conclusion on their own. So what I started trying to do is figure out what are the problems and then how do we overcome them. And the problem to me is really this central bank printing money at whim. That leads to a lot of problems. So if we can put the money printing back in the hands of people, that would be great. And me shouting at some corporate executive isn't going to do anything. There's a Buckminster Fullering quote that goes something like, if you protesting something will do nothing, you have to invent something that makes the prior thing obsolete. And so
you had to have a solution.
yeah, you got to provide a solution. What are you going to do? We're just going to all stop using fiat in one day and everything's going to be fine.
What are we going to do tomorrow?
It's ridiculous. So
yeah,
you got to build an infrastructure. And so that's actually one of the reasons that we're into gaming is that I really love crypto, but the main thing that was happening in crypto was just like speculating on asset prices. And while that might bring in huge amounts of money, I don't think that's going to bring in huge amounts of people. And so when we were looking around, we thought, look, there's 2 billion gamers on this planet. Let's go build a game. You can come here for this really fun Splinterlands experience, but you're actually going to stay for the life-changing crypto experience. So we love our game. I'm super proud of the mechanics and the community and what we built. But honestly, it's a Trojan horse to get people into crypto because that's the way that we can really have self-actualization, sovereignty, our own freedom, our liberty, peace, abundance for all, and live within the liberty of, do no harm.
Well said. Totally well said. And yeah, we're gonna get hardcore into this freedom topic for sure. So Splinterlands, let's talk about Splinterlands. Like, was the game that you had on your shelf that you were talking to your partner Matt about, was that ultimately what became Splinterlands? Or
yeah, I mean, it's the same art, right? Like, there's a handful of the cards that if you look on them, the card art shows 2014. So this stuff goes back, I made my first game and then I started making this other thing. And yeah, we used that art, we used this project. We had to, I was still thinking I was going to print it because I didn't know any developer. So we had to tweak a couple of the rules to make this thing work. But yeah, the majority of what we were doing is really just like, here's the game. Let's go code this up and make it live.
I mean, it's a really cool game. I'm still like learning it because the rules, there's a lot of different rules. It's a lot more rules than I remember from Magic the Gathering. Magic was pretty simple. This, like when I'm doing like how to like to do a battle, and it tells you the type of battles that you have and what limitations you have with your cards, or there's certain types of magics and things like that. Was Magic an inspiration for this, and you just kind of tweaked the idea, or what inspired this Splinterlands particularly?
So the kid sister of the creator of Magic and I went to school together. So there's really
Garfield.
What's that?
What's his name? Something Garfield?
Oh, it's been a while since I've looked at this, and I wouldn't want to go out her name anyways. But
yeah, I'm sorry.
But I've been looking at this stuff since I was like 7, 8. So I'd be absolutely lying if I said, Magic or something like CryptoKitties has had no impact on us. Of course they've had impact. They're great and pioneering. So with Magic in particular, some games have chosen to go try to copy Magic. And another giant game that's really successful these days is Hearthstone. And there are companies that are just trying to clone those and put it on a blockchain. And, I think it's going to be really hard to beat Magic at Magic style games. I don't think you're going to out Hearthstone. So what we did is we built a game that takes elements of this trading card piece, and that we actually bring it into, like a shorter experience. So it's like a 3-minute game instead of like a 20 to 60-minute game. So, it's just a different experience overall, and that's what we wanted. So it's very much inspired by trading card games, but we're not trying to give you the same experience. I mean, Blizzard's a $1 billion company. We are not. It's going to be hard for us to go make something like what they're doing that's better than what they're doing. So we made it. We have the trading card aspect, but then for the gameplay, it's different.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, I do see a lot of people trying to copy it exactly. And I didn't think that this was a copy. It just felt similar, but it was a lot more complicated. It just wasn't it wasn't as simple as just the what I remember with Magic the Gathering. But I really
that's our goal. We want it to feel familiar, right? Because we don't want to like try to invent a whole new genre of games. God, that while doing blockchain stuff too, that sounds just really challenging. But, if we could just give them like a fairly familiar experience, and then at the same time give them some new twists on it, that's what we wanted. So, the game is played in 3 minutes. In terms of what you actually have to do on the screen, it's relatively simple. You pick a summoner and then you pick some monsters. So from like what do you actually click, it's super simple. But then how does the game work? I mean, if you keep scrolling down this page, it's like, 4 pages of rules that describe how all the cards work, how they interact. And, we pack a crap ton of strategy into like a 3-minute experience.
It's incredible. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. That's why I'm kind of showing it, because I'm going to have it linked down below, but I wanted people to see that, there's a frequently asked questions section. There's a how to play. There's where you can train, where you can basically play against other people without really affecting your rank and things like that.
Will you go to the market page for a second?
Yeah.
So this is the market, and I'm pretty proud of this. I mean, if you look, we got $4,000 of sales today. That's player to player, and that's in just shy of 10,000 transactions in a single day.
When does that time frame start? Is it
24 hours previous to now?
Okay.
So it's a rolling 24-hour clock.
That's nice.
And that, go look at like NFT transactions on Ethereum. Like their dollar volumes are drastically higher than ours. We're on like some backwater chain on Hive. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like the technology of Hive, but there has to be a lot more work done to kind of spread it far and wide. And that just keeps the base token price, several orders of magnitude less. But even with that as like a key difficulty that we're encountering, like we're still doing 10,000 transactions. Last time I looked, in a single day, we're doing as many transactions as like the next 9 Ethereum-based games combined. And that's just on the market volume. When you look at like the actual volume in terms of how many transactions are happening on chain, we do 500 to 600,000 transactions per day. And that's
500
like,
to 600, or what'd you say again?
500 to 600,000.
500 to 600,000. Wow. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're doing a ton. So, there's just nothing, as far as I know, there's no other like DApp that's close to that.
No, I mean, I had heard before I started really looking into Splinterlands, I had heard that Splinterlands and Gods Unchained were just like had sick amount of transactions compared to a lot of the Ethereum-based dApps and all the other dApps out there. So I mean, and I've heard nothing but good things. I've not heard anybody who's played Splinterlands that has anything negative to say. I mean, it's a very creative game. Kenn was showing me a lot of really cool tricks where you can combine cards, where you have doubles.
Yeah, go click the card tab next to the market tab for a second.
Okay.
So this is part of the genius of our economy, and I can say that because it wasn't my idea. I don't know, grab the magma troll, the giant rock, whatever.
Just pick one.
Summoner, but giant rock is fine. Click that guy, and then click that stats button in the top right.
Okay.
So as you look here, this is one of the alpha cards. And so what we're seeing is that we made it so that there's a prize pool. And your goal is to get as much of the prize pool as you can. You do that by battling and daily quests and tournament prizes and a bunch of other things. But it ultimately comes down to the higher your rank, the more money you can earn. And so the one way is to get really good at the game. And another way is to have really nice cards, because here what you can see is as your cards increase in level, the melee attack goes up, the speed goes up, the health goes up, and the number of abilities increases.
Right.
So to do that, you're going to combine many cards together. So in this case, you have to combine 379 cards together to make it a max level card. And what that does is it shrinks the supply of what's available all the time. So we sold out of these alpha cards. You're looking at an alpha card right now. We sold out of these maybe 18 months ago. And there were 1.5 million of them that we minted, and remaining are under 300,000. So the players have squished together 1.2 million cards, leaving only 300,000 unique cards left because they're trying to make them the highest level so that they can earn the most rewards with them.
I think that's really cool because it creates more scarcity too.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
people get, because that's the one thing I used to get pissed off about playing card games, is getting all those doubles and triples
Yep.
and multiples of those common cards. And now
Yep.
with these, with this, you could take all your multiples of the same card, combine them together, and kind of almost Voltron it with the same version a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And well, the other piece on top of that is that we can rent cards. So like if this is a real physical card game and I had a card that was like $1,000, like Rice, you're a nice guy, but there's no way I'm handing you $1,000 card
Why
to go
not?
play with. And because you're never going to give it back, or you're going to rip it or tear it, and I can't get like stupid insurance on it or something. It's just
Right.
not worth the effort for that. And here what you can do is you can lend the cards to other players. So there are markets for that, but you can rent these cards, and I think that's a big deal to the people that own them and hold them. Is that, you know, some of our players will get like $20, $30, $40,000 worth of cards. Usually they're not playing with that powerful of a deck. Usually they're buying it to rent out to other players.
So how do you rent out then? Like, can you explain that to me? So if I wanted to rent something out?
So we enabled it, but we haven't actually gone back and created it. So go
Okay.
to peakmonsters.com. So
Peak.
there's a Peak, P-E-A-K.
Yeah, no, I know PEAKD monsters.
No, not the D, just Peak Monsters.
Okay.
It's the same guys, which is why you're thinking of Peak D, but it's just peakmonsters.com.
Well, yeah, you guys used to, this was Steam Monsters originally, right?
Yep. So Peak Monsters is a third-party website that uses, there it is, that uses our, that buys and sells trading cards that are our cards. And they have a, if you click on go to the market in the yellow there at the bottom left.
Bottom left.
Oh, it just moved.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, click that, go to market. And so we're on market. I wonder if you actually have to log in, but go click view cards on one of those. These are all the really inexpensive cards, so this might not make sense. Bid,
Okay.
bulk, scroll down just a little bit more. Yeah, I think you have to be logged in to be able to see it. But you can, not only can you bid on cards, but you can actually rent the cards. So one of my favorite stories that came out of this was that we had one of our best players decided he was just going to see how good he could do by renting. Yeah, so look, now on the bottom right by the question mark is the card rentals.
Oh, okay, right here.
Yeah, so you're looking at like one of the least expensive cards in the game. So
Okay,
this might be a little bit weird. So scroll down a bit, but now this is mostly just for demonstration purposes that you can see, you know, for these things are costing 2 pennies a day. So if you want like a high level card, that's like, this is one of the weakest cards in the game, but if you want to rent it for 2 pennies a day, you can have that card.
Let's go. Let's try to find a better card to look at.
Okay, so now you're going to want in the top right, you see price BCX ascending. You want that to be price BCX descending. Yep. So click there and then descending. So these are, let's move away from the gold foil cards. So just scroll down until you get to, there's Yoden Zaku. Let's go up a little bit. Go back to Yoden. Keep going, up. He was a $30 card. So these are in order now.
Okay.
There it is. So click the pink rent button underneath Yoden, the red card there.
The rent. Okay.
So then scroll down a bit. So the different types of cards require different amounts of combining. But this is a max level Yoden, and you can rent him. You would put down $1, and then that's kind of held in escrow, and then you could rent him for 23 cents a day. So nothing major, but you know, like if you wanted to go buy that card outright, it's going to cost you, I don't know, over $100, maybe close to $200 to buy a max level Yoden.
Okay.
But instead, you can just rent it for 23 cents a day. So what this does, not only can you rent it relatively inexpensively, but sometimes players will rent out whole decks. So one of the things that's pretty meaningful to me is that we'll have a bunch of like American and German players that are pretty wealthy, maybe some Koreans too. And then they'll hand the keys to the decks over to like some Venezuelans who will play. So they'll spend a bunch of time playing and then they'll split the earnings. And the money that the Venezuelans make, you know, it might be small dollars compared to like the salary of the American or the German, but it's like a life-changing amount of money for the Venezuelan.
Yeah, the economy there is just so screwed that and crypto has been one of the savers, the lifesavers out there.
Yep. So now we can kind of like, we can just bridge economies in ways that were never really possible, and that's because you have ownership and you have the ability to rent cards, and you know the guy that's rich and doing this, you know, he's getting a passive return on his investment. He has cards that he thinks will be collectible over the long period of time where the supply keeps diminishing and hopefully more people are joining the Splinterlands ecosystem. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have these collectibles mixed with passive income and kind of like a healthy, good-spirited intention when you're helping people from third world countries. So it feels pretty good to be a part of this and know that by buying and selling cards and by renting out your cards and renting out like an entire deck, you could be changing somebody's life. And that's pretty awesome because you're just playing a game.
Yeah, no, that is very cool. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I, continue to be involved in the cryptocurrency community. I mean, when crypto first started out, a lot of people had that very libertarian, get away from the traditional financial system, the legacy system, be your own bank. And now it's kind of, let's all just join together. And, so anything that's kind of trying to keep that freedom aspect, I'm always going to be game for, and very much appreciative of it as well. And in ways that we can help empower other people, because that's just been a problem in the world, as we know, which we'll talk about here shortly. I'd like to ask you about this dark energy crystal thing, though. This is new. It's like an in-game currency token.
Yeah. So let's go start by clicking the green plus sign next to the yellow coin. Those are our credits.
Right here.
So yep, click that. So you can, if you want to go purchase cards through Splinterlands, you can buy credits. So you can do that through PayPal and go click crypto for a sec. Click that. Yep. So here's all the different tokens that we accept, either like the real.
I'm surprised you guys are accepting TRX.
Yeah, I know. We're kind of, but we have there's a bunch of good people that came from there. I'm not sure that the entire thing is a worthwhile thing to support, but
that's cool that you have that's game credit, right?
Yep, that's game credits. We work with them a bunch. They're staking a whole bunch of game on Splinterlands right now through their website. Sand is Sandbox, Gala is Gala Games. So we have a couple other like gaming projects where we're working with them. Like we're going to have land that's in the sandbox that's dedicated to Splinterlands.
Sweet.
And so we kind of exchange, hey, we'll accept your token as value, and they'll promote our game, and both economies improve because of it. So right now you can purchase credits in any one of these cryptos or with fiat, and then we'll give you credits and you can buy cards or packs. And when you're buying, once you have cards, then you can start earning cards. So now if you'll click the X there, and then we can go over to the dark energy crystals, just click the purple box to start.
Oh, sorry.
This works. So here, these are dark energy crystals. So there's a couple different places that you can have them. Hive Engine is a small exchange. Theme Engine is a small exchange. We can put them on Tron. We can put them as an ERC on Ethereum. And they're an in-game cryptocurrency. So we have a reward pool, and when players are winning battles, and when players are getting end-of-season rewards or fighting in tournaments, we are constantly rewarding them with dark energy crystals. And those dark energy crystals are, we accept them for value in game. So instead of spending dollars, you can go spend your dark energy crystals. And then they're on exchanges and whatnot. So players will go back and forth and they'll earn them. and then they'll sell them, or they're looking to invest more and really like have more cards, so they'll come in. And one of the things you're showing now is peak D. You know, part of the reason why we have as many players as we do is that the Hive blockchain and Steam prior to it is really focused around some of these blogging accounts. So what's cool is that as you play the game, you can post a story about the game, and then because you posted a story about the game, you can earn. Yeah, look. So there's your. I won my first Splinterlands battle. And
yeah, that was
61 cents for that.
That's when I was playing with Kenn. Yeah, so yeah, it's a way of earning cryptocurrency for things like. I was trying to go into my. There's something I was noticing with the wallet where it took me to a page that showed me like the value of my Splinterland cards.
You could do that. Go back to the easiest one, I think, is the Peak Monsters.
Well, it was this right here in the wallet.
Games, collections,
and then
go Splinterlands. Check out the value on this page. Yeah, so they bring you back to Peak Monsters.
Yeah,
so we're gonna go see what your card collection is worth.
It's not a whole lot, but I still have some unopened packs.
Well, you know, the thing is, like, our players will start and they'll be like, all right, I'll spend $10, and then they'll play a little bit, they'll pick up cards here and there, and like a couple months down the road, they're like, oh my God, I own $2,000 worth of these cards. And that story is not uncommon because, you know, like, this game is not typical entertainment, right? It counts as entertainment. This is a fun game. Players will tell you it is a has some addictive feel to it. It like, they like playing this game. So it's entertaining, but at the same time, it's not like when you go to a movie theater, you give them $20 and then that money is gone forever, right? You give Splinterlands $20 and you get this card, and you have basically staked a card that you can now play with. And then when you're done, you can sell it back later. And depending on your timing, you know, who knows what markets do, but you know, there's some opportunities there as people are buying and selling cards to try to improve your overall card value, so, or your collection value.
Right.
But you know, people are in there all the freaking time, you know, buying and selling, like you saw in the marketplace. There's a secondary marketplace, and people buy and sell cards on it. And so there's a lot of money I've been seeing in the NFT markets. I mean, it's kind of picking up a lot of hype now, which I'm really, you know, glad to see, because I think NFTs are one of the things, kind of as you were saying at the beginning of the video, that it's kind of a Trojan horse getting people involved in crypto without realizing it. And that's the way that we're going to get people in it, you know, is when they're playing blockchain games and don't know it. An artist, right? You're going to find some artist. And you know, so I helped build a site called NFT Showroom, and it's an art website. And you go, you know, artists come in and they'll post NFTs, they'll sell them. Sometimes they'll sell commercial rights to their work. And early on in this, the woman that's really running the project, she goes by Julia K. Ponsford, and she was like running galleries in Canada in like a physical location. And I was asking her, like, you know, you've been an artist for a while. How does this online NFT experience relate to what you've been doing, like in a physical location? And she's like, it's all the same. You know, like now you're getting digital handshakes and you're doing like Zoom calls with, you know, people around the world, but the idea is still the same. You're like, somebody is drawn to your art. They feel a connection to what you're doing, and they want to go, you know, interact with you as an artist and a person, support your work. And these things are fundamental to the art world, not the NFT art world, not the, like, you know, oil painting world, just the art world. And so what I think we see a lot of is that it doesn't matter if it's trading cards and games or art versus like oil painting versus NFT. Like, a lot of these interactions it really comes down to being between people. And there's enough similarity with, you know, a call like this versus an in-person thing that, you know, players and artists don't really notice a difference. And in some ways, this stuff is just all way more convenient than like lugging around paint cans and lugging around pictures and storing boxes of cards in your mom's basement that, you know, in my case, it got flooded. So I lost my whole comic collection.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I collected comic books too.
I was heartbroken. I think I'm sort of over it, but that memory of like, lugging around all this physical stuff. I've moved all these different states and I'm lugging like all these stupid boxes of comics and cards. And like, if I could just have it all digital, that'd be so nice. And that's kind of, I don't know, it gives me that sense of ownership. My kid will sit on my lap, we'll go open card packs together. And in Splinterlands, when the legendary, if you get a legendary, it just starts shaking and the whole screen shakes and there's noises and my kid's like screaming and it's like, all right, this is really awesome.
I want to open a pack when you're done here, just to show people how it looks.
Yeah, go ahead. I think
you can finish your story. I apologize.
No, it's all right. Do you have packs to open?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so hopefully people will see that you can. It's a fun experience, and I don't feel like that was lost in translation, right? So when we built this game and we saw that opening packs still had a lot of that same feel of
hold on, it's gonna get out loud.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. It seems
you can't
okay.
You can't hear it. Maybe they don't hear this. Maybe the sound's not coming through.
Yeah, I think that went to you. So here are the card backs. No, you gotta click there we go. Oh, an epic.
Boom.
So nice coral wraith. Good. I'm glad you got something pretty good. A rare, that's pretty good.
How do you tell what it is before it's flipping over?
There's a little glow around the edge. So that one's just a common card, and then that's a common card.
Okay,
there's like a tiny little pink glow or a tiny little blue glow.
Okay,
if you get a legendary, it's a yellow glow, and the whole damn thing shakes and makes noise when you're opening them.
Let's try another one here real quick.
Yeah, you just can't stop at one.
Did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to share before we move on to the second part of the video?
I would just welcome people to come join us. If you like playing games and you don't just want to like lose all your money, and I mean that in like, in Hearthstone, I spent $300, and then when I was done playing Hearthstone, I never got any of that money back. Here, we have players that come and go, life happens, or they get mad at us, or there's some decision that we make for the game, and they stop playing for a while. But that to me is a sign of success, that, the whole ecosystem is working, that you can buy your cards and sell your cards and come and go as you please. That if you open that up, that'll show you
the transaction on the blockchain. I wanted to show people that.
Yeah. Maybe that doesn't work. It says block.
Yeah,
so
no, it does say block.
Go back to the tab, the Splinterlands tab.
Okay, hold on 1 second, because there we go.
So if you just click that and just click that by itself, you can
because I did try. I did try to do it. Open it in a new browser.
It'll preload all of the data from that transaction from when you opened it, and then if you hit generate packs, you can see that that what you got is what the algorithm is supposed to. And that's important because the game can print like a $250 card. So Matt and I, not just like printing ourselves multiple $100 cards whenever we want, kind of like the Fed just goes and prints whenever they want. That's bad for the rest of us. Yeah. So we include ways to make sure that you can verify every single transaction, use the RNG to come up with the packs on your own and see what's in them. So it's important to us to act as ethically as possible as we build our business and attract users here. And I guess my ask is come check us out, come play our game, come visit with us and see that here's a really fun way that you can spend your money and have entertainment, but also not lose value. And in fact, really have an opportunity to earn through your gameplay, through your time, through your attention. And I think that's pretty novel. And hopefully your viewers and your audience will be excited by that opportunity.
I think so, man. And I am. And I will include links down below for everything we showed. And then I'll include links for the video that me and Ken did when he was trying to teach me a little bit. So maybe people can get inspired to start playing themselves. Cause I'm 45 years old and just, starting to figure this out just like a month ago. So I've had the cards, but I wanted Ken specifically to kind of teach me.
Yeah, the head of our marketing program calls him Ken Bosak.
Bosak?
Ken Bosak.
Did you see his NFT that got made on the
Blockchain
Bad
Heroes?
Cryptos Blockchain Heroes? Yeah, the Bitcoin Pro, bro.
Yeah, no, Ken's famous and he's awesome. We're putting out an event called DigiCon which is going to be at the end of the last Saturday of every month. We're going to start hosting a digital virtual convention, and it'll be for us. It'll be for finance types, for art types. You know, we're one of the biggest apps that's out there, and we feel like we are in the position to go bring as many people together as literally just about anybody. There are a couple other people that might have done it, but they haven't. So we just said, you know what, we're going to host this. We're going to get all the tribes together. It's kind of like a William Wallace, unite the tribes. You know, let's get them all together so that that everything starts tribal, but then hopefully you realize that we're all going to the same moon. We're all working together. We're all trying to go change this world in one way or another. So
is that going to be starting this month? Last Saturday of this month?
Halloween from noon to 2 Eastern, we'll have our first Digicon event. Cool. I barely published this because I just got my inventory of what we have to provide, like how many booths will be available and things like that today. But we're hosting it through a company called Gamerjive, and they built a Second Lifestyle convention center. And in that convention center, you can kind of wander around with your avatar and check out the different booths. And there you can like speak to people, you can live stream with them, you can give presentations. I mean, it looks and feels like you're in a convention center. You just didn't have to spend $400 and then a couple more on your hotel and all the food. And
right.
You get to visit these things and see the things, but you know, we're going to make it free for attendees. So check out all the blockchain stuff you want, and hopefully there's some good like NFT swag bags that you can get by showing up. And so we're trying to make this a fun gamified event, and all of that is to lead into like, you know, we have a land sale that's coming for Splendor Lands. So in early November, it's the Splendor Lands. Shouldn't shock anybody that we're doing a land sale. And so, you know, we're right now in the game, you have items and right now you have summoners and monsters, and we're adding items and spells to the game so that you can there's a second round of combat, but it's the players who will mint them. Like the cards are worth millions of dollars. We are handing over the reins to the players and say, buy some land. And then after that, you are the ones with the minting rights for items and spells. So that's cool. Something that Hearthstone and Magic never did for us, right? They never said, okay, here, Aggie, why don't you print some cards, right? But we can do that in blockchain.
Since you said it, man, what we'll probably just do a follow-up before you do this Halloween event, and that way we can talk about the land sale as well, because I'd like to attend the event on Halloween.
Yeah, I'd love to have you there. You were free to attend.
I think I'm going to be in Jersey the day before. I think Kenn's going to be there, so I may be staying at Kenn's house. So I'll probably be because I've been with Kenn. Halloween is his birthday.
Oh, funky! In
case you don't know that.
I didn't know.
And I got to spend the last couple Halloweens. I think it's November 1st, if I'm not mistaken. But I've got to spend the last 2 birthdays of his in Vegas with him. So obviously we're not going to be in Vegas this year, but New Jersey would be the second best choice.
Yeah.
So, all right, dude. Well, I really appreciate it. I want to remind everybody we're going to do another second part to this video. So I encourage you guys to check it out. It's not going to have much to do with Splendor Lands, but it's going to have everything to do with freedom. And if you love freedom, you're going to love what we're going to be talking about. So again, I'll have links down below for everything we talked about. If this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, I do encourage you to explore my channel. Make sure you subscribe, smash that like button, hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date with my videos as they come out. I do encourage everyone to check out my Patreon channel. I post up exclusive content. I'm doing monthly giveaways, and it's a way to support what I do directly. And also, you can get a free ½ ounce of silver. I partnered up with Money Metals Exchange. If you go to moneymetals.com, you're a first-time buyer, and you purchase $100 or more, and you use the promo code RICE, you'll get a free ½ ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel as well. So as always, I encourage everyone to be the change by practicing change.